What's going on, everybody? And my name's Ollie, and welcome back to Barely Building, where in today's episode of not learning our lesson from last time on future builds, we will not make them so close to the wire on the power. We make another couple of power plants that are right on the limit, while we automate some rubber and some plastic, as well as making a start on our turbo fuel power plant that's going to help power everything else in the world. So a quick catch up for those if you just joined in the series now. We are running the continuous space elevator challenge, so we have to continuously feed in our space elevator parts every minute to maintain the phase that we're in and also to climb up the phases. And we're also doing a challenge of no world grid, so every single base has to have its own local power plant. We are not using a world grid. And one of the big tasks for the playthrough is setting up a turbo fuel plant. We're going to need to package that up and distribute it, probably through trains to start with, around the world. So today's first task is we're going to grab the jetpack. We're going to grab oil processing. That will let us start producing plastic and rubber. That gives us everything we need then to unlock the next three. We're going to get all this. We're also going to try and get pipe Mark II because we're going to need that. So let's grab our jetpack, oil processing, and we're going to build a very, very temporary plastic and rubber factory, just a small one down here in this area. I've got other plans for this area, but we need some plastic and rubber to get started, just to kickstart us into phase 3. That's the first thing we need to do. So let's head over there now. This is the spot we're going to use for plastic and rubber. It's getting interesting now that we're dealing with byproducts. The power in these places is getting a bit more interesting. So we're going to be making plastic, for example, which gives us heavy oil residue as a byproduct. We can chuck another refinery at the front. We can turn that heavy oil residue into petroleum coke. So we'll just add together that petroleum coke. Can go into a coal powered generator. And we have power. So this setup should, in theory, be completely self-sustained. So let's throw that together quickly and then we'll take a look. So here's the setup. We've got plastic on one side. We've got rubber on the other. Oh, we've got, rubber on the other. Crude oil feeds down the middle. The heavy oil residue overflow comes out of the back here into 2 storage boxes. That's going to keep us going for now. Heavy oil residue flows down into these. And then we've just got some splitters and mergers to take the petroleum coke into the generators and then just sink any overflow. So the real question is, we need 420. Can we run this for long enough? 2 of these blueprints. Each one of these makes 240 megawatts. I use this for farming hard drives. So let's connect that in. Let's see if this can run long enough to become self-sufficient. So this is self-sufficient now. We've got 9. Well, let's disconnect this. So that's now offline. 470 capacity. This system uses 467.2. So we have 2.8 megawatts to play with. So yeah, we'll be fine. I'm sure this will be fine. We have our plastic and rubber being made. These are filling up from where I put the wrong recipe in earlier. So we can grab ourselves a few thousand plastic and grab ourselves a few thousand rubber. And we can send ourselves off back to the main base. So with all our plastic and rubber, we were able to unlock Mark IV logistics, which we're going to need, fuel packaging, which we're going to need, and petroleum power, which we're absolutely going to need. Kickstarting this is going to be an absolute nightmare. We're also going to venture off and try and find 50 modular frames on the map so that we can unlock these Mark II pipes, because we're going to need those for the pure nodes that we've got up in the area. So the area we're using is up in this north section. I've been through it and I've cleared out all the hard drives because we needed some alternate recipes for this to work. Grabbed all the slugs and the mercer and the sloops. So this area is now cleared out, ready for us to use. We ventured a bit further over because we needed more hard drives, because yeah, we absolutely needed some very specific alternate recipes. So let's head up there now, and here we are at our first node. We're only going to build one of these today. I'm taking some inspiration for this build from the offshore oil rigs that you see. Saw one recently and thought that could actually look really cool. The idea for the build is every one of these oil nodes around this area is going to have its own little build on top of it that looks like one of these offshore oil rigs that you see. We're going to future-proof a little bit for 1.2, and we're going to have trucks delivering all the stuff around. For now, we're going to use belts until we get 1.2 because trucks are just really unreliable. But we're going to build the infrastructure ready to throw down trucks in there. We'll just belt along the highways for now. But for today's video, we're focusing on this single pure node here, so we can get a template done of what we like, and then we can try and copy that to the other ones. It's going to be far too big to blueprint it. It's always tough to get started on projects like this, because where do you start with these big builds? So the best way to do it, bit of advice I saw, was just start putting things down. We'll start sketching and we'll see what it looks like as we go. So first thing we need is that oil extractor. And what I want to do is build the top of this inside the structure. So we'll grab something. We'll use these big frame foundations. We'll go up 3. We'll build a frame around this. I think we're going to change to grit metal foundations. I just completely forgot to buy them, so we'll go and grab that in a minute. But build maybe one higher. We'll go across 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to here, down. We are going to delete these middle ones out. But something like this. And something like this. We've got the oil extractor coming up here. We can bring the oil up. And we can start working on our power plant here. So I'll show you guys the plan quickly. So generally we're going to use about 3,300 crude oil. We're going to turn the majority of that with a basic fuel recipe. You can make a significant amount more than what we're doing, but we don't have the sulfur to support it. So most of that fuel will go into just the standard turbo fuel. We're going to use the byproduct, this polymer resin, to feed a residual rubber recipe that will then feed recycled plastic to make our canisters. And this is going to help us package the fuel. And to make enough fuel to keep the recycled plastic running, we're going to use this diluted packaged fuel recipe. The last bit of crude oil that we have can go in to make heavy oil residue. That feeds into our diluted packaged fuel recipe. We unpackage it, feed that into the plastic. That makes our canisters. And for the compacted coal, pretty standard. We just run that in, package it all up, and away we go. Now we're going to break this down into ones for pure nodes at 600, ones for normal nodes at 300, and ones for impure nodes at 150 fully overclocked. So we've got the setup done for us there. I did put this into a spreadsheet just to make the numbers a little nicer. So our pure nodes are going to make 300 a minute. Our normal nodes are going to make 150, and our impure nodes are going to make 75. And it just makes all this work a lot better. It gets rid of a lot of the decimals in what we're making. So with that in, let's get started with the whole thing. And here is the very, not basic, but here's the template of what we're going to go for across the rest of the build. So I'm going to put some lights in just to make it look a bit fancy. But before I really start decorating, I want to test it. So we're going to use a pure node over there just to make some standard fuel to power some fuel generators, just to kickstart this system. I haven't brought any of the resources down yet. We've got to go on a real mission to get our sulfur because it's all over the place. So I'm just going to chuck some that I gathered earlier when I was getting ready to unlock stuff in the map into a box. And we're going to fire it up and check that it all works. So just to give you a small tour of what we've done. I'm not going to go too crazy. But we pump the fuel up here. This goes into these 4 refineries. This is making our standard fuel. This then feeds up and over into the next round of refineries. Need to make a way to get over there a little bit easier. Got a lot of work to do here yet. That goes into these refineries over here. This is making our turbo fuel. That's essentially that section done. Compacted coal feeds across here and down into these machines. This then feeds around into packaged fuel. That then goes back downstairs into a storage box. And then on the top level, we need to pump some water up still, but we're going to pump some water up here. This refinery has the tail end of our crude oil node. So that's making some heavy oil residue. That feeds across into this machine, which is making diluted packaged fuel. So for that we need packaged water. That runs from here. That then runs across into this unpackager to take the fuel out. Pump it into this machine, which then turns the rubber into plastic. And it just takes the canisters, feeds them all the way back around, and that will be used to package the water back up. And this will just run itself in a loop. On the other side, our excess polymer resin is being brought up, sent into these machines. So we need a bit more water here. This is going to make our rubber that we need to power that one. So it's a bit finicky up here. It's going to take a bit of decorating to make this top section look nice and not just bolted onto the top. So let's get ourselves a power plant. Let's pump ourselves up the water and let's give it a test. And with the power in, we're ready to jumpstart this. And we're ready to kickstart this to life and see if everything works as it should. All our water's piped in, being brought up here. We've got a power tower in which we're going to use to connect all these together in this little area. Okay, our 4 fuel generators are up and running. We've got a pretty steady bit of power. We did have to put in a little bit more just to power this. But 2,500 megawatts. We'll take that. All that's left to do is just chuck this. No, somewhere on here for now. We're going to delete it anyway. And we need to just connect that to something. Cool. And now let's look for what we've inevitably done wrong here. So that should be overclocked. There we go. Let's take a look. Yeah, she's running. This slot has no power still. So we've not connected something somewhere. Let's just connect this in for now. We'll find somewhere better to connect it later. So this is all online. This is all online. Yep. Good. We should be receiving fuel into here. Yeah, it's starting to come through slowly. So that just needs to back up. That's good. Let's take a look upstairs. Nothing's really happening here. What's going on here? This should be moving. No water. No water. No flow rate. Oh, we love pipes. We love pipes in Satisfactory. Let's just dismantle this. Is there anything in here? No. Pump has power. Pipe's full of water. The problem's at the top. Let's just repipe that whole top section in. Right, water's flowing. We love Satisfactory pipes, so we just deleted those and reinstalled them. So that's now working. So we've got the packaged water flowing into here, packaged fuel coming out the other end, fuel flowing into here. So we've got our plastic all up and working. We should be seeing some packaged turbo fuel in this line, but we're not. So what's going on? And the problem is one of me being an absolute muppet. I have forgot to make canisters and instead fed plastic directly into this line. So, oh, how lovely. So what we forgot to do was turn this plastic into canisters. So let's just pop in a couple of constructors here, and that's better. So we've got our two constructors. They're making the canisters. That's sending them downstairs, and we finally have some of that lovely packaged rocket fuel moving its way through the system. And we need this to be 300 a minute. Judging on how these generally work, we're looking good. 300 a minute. I'd say this is a pretty good success. So that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. We are next time going to be flattening this sort of central area out so we can build a base. That we need to power this whole section, so we need to sort of set that up and get ready with the logistics to move all of this turbo fuel from this base into the world, starting with our main base. Honestly, I'm super hyped about this build. You can picture it with all of our little, I say little, this thing turned out quite big, but all of our oil processing plants spread out all over this biome. We've got some over there, some here, some back there, all merged into this central location and then off by train. It's going to look really good. And when we've got drone ports available, I've quite often seen a helipad on the back of these oil rigs that are out at sea. So we're gonna incorporate that when we get there. But now, guys, if you have enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a sub, and we will see you in the next one.